Hi everyone and welcome to Season 13, Episode 5 of From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, January window has come and gone. I'll tell you a bit about what we've done in that in a little while. Also, some big matches were played and mostly they went pretty well. All things considered, we're sitting in 8th and today we played top of the table Manchester United. Let's see how we get on. Welcome back to Truro City. We've got lots to get through today, so we're going to get straight in. We're going to have a look at our fixture list and see that through January, we did pretty well, really. I mean, we got beaten by Manchester United a couple of games back in the FA Cup, which was disappointing to draw them so early on in the competition, unfortunately. We then lost to Liverpool 1-0, but that's not a terrible result, really. We were competitive through most of that game at home. And around that, we beat Leicester, we beat Derby, we beat Tottenham, we beat Wolves, and now we come into this game against Manchester United away from home. They're sitting top of the table currently. So all in all, it's been a pretty good January in terms of results, really. The early form was really spearheaded by Signorelli, and then he went off the boil a little bit through those couple of massive games that we had against Man United in the Cup and Liverpool in the league. But ultimately, he's done pretty well, and mostly the team has played very well. We then ultimately get left in currently, if we go and have a look in the table, in 8th position at the moment, and it's not too bad at all. We've closed up the gap a little bit between us and the 7th place team, currently Crystal Palace. We leapfrog again over West Ham last episode, and we've continued to move forward and close that gap up. It's now only 2 points behind Crystal Palace and 4 points behind Tottenham. So there's a couple of teams on the horizon there, and having beaten Tottenham recently and Leicester City, you can see that we've drawn them back into us a little bit. Manchester United, top of the table by a couple of points to all three of Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City, sitting on 49 points behind them. So very, very tight at the top of the table. If we could get involved in the conversation of 5th through 7th, I will be ecstatic with that as we continue. Today, though, it's going to be a tricky one, isn't it? Manchester United away from home. They're going to be really, really chomping at the bit to stay at the top of the table. We do have some January window signings, though, and that could make a little bit of a difference to us as we move forward. So we've got 1 outgoing and 2 incoming to talk about. And the basic thought for my January window was simply, if I can find an upgrade on what I've already got, then I'm interested. We're still in the process of trying to build up a side that can cope with the Premier League and properly find a way to move up the table in the Premier League. So it's all about just consistently looking for those improvements all the way across the team. And to be honest, it's been quite a challenge, quite a struggle. We've got quite a lot of money compared to what we can actually spend because of the type of player that are ultimately interested in us at the moment. So a few issues. So Jack Fenn, one of our left backs, has gone out of the club, but he was not the reason why we got a new one in. We got a new one in because I found an upgrade. And so Jack Fenn then left after that point. The upgrade is on loan this season. Samuel Herbert from Chelsea. We'll go in and have a look at him. He's 21 years old. He's English and he's very good, really. Physicals are very good. Mentals are very good. Technicals, couple of little tweaks that we could potentially push up a little bit. I mean, if he got up to, let's say, 15 tackling and 14 crossing, then I think that's not too bad at all, really. He can also cover at centre-back a little bit if we need him to, and that's a little bit of a theme in terms of what we've brought into the squad for the second half of this season. So Samuel Herbert comes in, will play as our number 1 choice left-back, and we will see whether we can get him in on the club on a little bit more of a full-time basis moving forward. But for the next half season, he's the number 1 guy at left full-back. And we also bearing in mind the theme of players that can cover multiple positions, bought in Daniel Silva. Now, we did buy this guy in. 20 million, 10 million up front, 10 million in instalments, and 4 million potentially on add-ons, depending on how well he does. But Daniel Silva comes into the club because he can cover both fullback positions and central defensive midfield as well. And it's in the central defensive midfield area that I think he might get a little bit more game time for us. I think that we have a slight weak spot there, a little bit, and possibly he could fill it for us if we retrain him properly and put him regularly in this position. I think there's potentially a defensive midfield player in here rather than a ball-winning midfield. Probably defensive midfield, quite static, stays in that particular holding midfield role and just kind of hunts the ball in that area. We'll see how we get on with him, but he can play right, left and central across the fullbacks and the defensive midfield line. And I thought he was an upgrade on what we had in terms of a couple of those positions. So he will get game time. Not totally sure exactly which spot he's going to fulfill mostly, but we'll have to wait and see. So those were the basic transfers that we made in this January transfer window. We've spent £45 million in this window, with 9 million recouped. That's not too bad for a club our size. We're always going to make a little bit of a loss in terms of having to sell cheaper than we buy, it feels like. But that's okay. So in the end, I think we've made a couple of upgrades. We're sitting very happily in 8th position. But now we get the mighty Manchester United. Can we cope with them today? Let's find out. So just before we talk about this game, I will tell you that there is a few more days left of the transfer window. We're not done yet, potentially. There's some outgoings possibly, and there might be another incoming as well. Outgoing, I'm trying to get Ben Moore out of the club. He has got some bids against him. This is our other fullback, left side fullback, that is a bit surplus to requirements now. The quality isn't quite there in him, so we're looking to move him on. There might be, as I say, a couple more out as well. I mean, Wright Phillips is a possibility on that right-hand side of midfield, a bit surplus to requirements these days. So we'll see, but it also depends on who we can get in as well, because I still want to maintain a balance of our squad. We've also got Abu Bakar that's out at the moment. He's on international duty with Ghana, so he's been out through most of January at the Africa Cup of Nations, basically. So he's been a bit of a big miss, really. Without Signorelli firing in the last couple of matches, it's been down to the likes of Henderson off the bench. And the quality isn't quite there in him as much as it is in Abu Bakar. So hopefully Abu Bakar will be back soon in early February and we can move forward again. Other than that, everybody else has had some game time recently. We've rotated a little bit, kept as many people fit and healthy as we can. And now, obviously, the new couple of guys in the team help us as well. At left fullback, Herbert will play, and Silva is on the bench. And Silva takes up a position on the bench covering both fullbacks and that holding midfield role potentially as well, remember. So I think he's a really decent buy, and he could potentially find himself in our starting lineup at some point in specifically this holding midfield role. Gonzalez, I'm not 100% sure about Gonzalez. I think he's done very well for us to a point, and he's got a high star rating compared to some of my squad, but I think his technicals are letting him down a little bit. I think mental and physical are brilliant, but just in the technicals, I think he's going to slightly fall under what he could potentially do, and we'll see. But that's a conversation for another day. For now, it's all about Manchester United in the league. And for this match, we're going with Wendell in goal, Swan at right back, Herbert at left back, Claridge and Colombini in central defence, Gonzalez, Marks and Morrison in central midfield, White on the right, Dudita on the left, and Signorelli up top, with a bench of Nelson, Silva, Goodwin, Thompson, Bondor, Izvikov and Henderson. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So we've got nothing to lose here, really. This is a bit of a free hit for us. So I thought I'd properly try and push the players to do as well as they can. It's demotivated a couple of them, unfortunately, which I find a little bit frustrating when basically all I did was in front of them say the recent standings have Man U in 8th and us in 2nd. Let's show them why. I didn't say let's win. I just said let's show them why we're up in the rankings in the form guide at the moment. And that's all I want them to do. I want them to compete well. But apparently, some of them didn't like it. We'll see whether that actually turns them round on the pitch to actually have a good performance to kind of show me up a little bit. But we'll see what happens in that one. But it does frustrate me when we give a positive team talk just to say you're doing pretty well. Carry on doing pretty well. And they get demotivated from it. There must be another way of expressing that somehow in game. That they just don't share my opinion, or I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the demotivated word is a bit wrongly used a bit. But why would you be demotivated by being told by your manager you're doing very well and let's carry on doing it? And Man United should have had a goal. Let's be really clear about that. It was ricocheted about in the box a little bit. They had a couple of attempts at goal, one very good one that was blocked by a defender. And they come back at us again down the left-hand side. They are going to be really hard to beat. But I just want us to compete. I just want us to be in the game and have a couple of shots ourselves and cause them a few problems here and there. Goal review. So it's being checked. Did he move too early? Goal disallowed for offside. He did. Arezzo up front for Man United. Just a little bit caught out there. And it was good defensive work. They moved up just at the right point when he was stranded a little bit. But you can see in terms of the statistics for the match so far, it's been all Manchester United. They've all had all of the shots at goal. We haven't registered one yet, but here is a chance for us. Worked it from right to left. Udita in the box on his right foot, and then a little bit of a tame shot. I was all prepared to say that was unfortunate and he should have done better with that shot. And then somehow it went in. I thought this was a really good run, a good switch of play over to the left-hand side. He cuts in on his right foot, and then that's a little bit of a tame effort, really. But it was so far underneath the goalkeeper, right in the corner, that he didn't quite get down quick enough. And I will take it. Donnarumma having an absolute nightmare for them, really, for Manchester United at that point. And that is a really unexpected lead. So immediately we're going to take it out of positive and go into balanced, just to suppress some of our attacking instincts and try and keep the ball slightly. We've had a reasonable amount of possession. I mean, we're almost 50-50 on that, but you can see all of the shots really have gone United's way. 14 shots at goal so far, but only 4 on target. So we're keeping them at a distance maybe, or blocking the shots a lot and putting bodies on the line. And we get through to half-time 1-0 up. Can we properly FM Man United? Can we do this? Can we have a lot less of the opportunities and still find a way to come out on top? We're going to stay in the balanced for a little while. We might even reduce that to cautious, but we're going to go into this particular team talk and we're going to go, let's go, rather than outstretched arms, let's go hands in pockets and say, I'm happy with the performance. Things are going well, but I know you're capable of more, or I'm happy with your performance. Keep it up. I think we'll go with keep it up, just to give them some positivity. And there you go. Maybe we've done the right thing. We've turned around some of their demotivation in the second half. Maybe that will give us impetus to have a good second half now that the players feel built up by me and put out on the pitch, knowing that they can potentially be what I said, which was competitive in this match. Don't make an error at the back, though, trying to bring the ball out and cause them a good chance to get in on us. The ball went over the top. Signorelli didn't really read it. The defender didn't really read it either. And it went through harmlessly to the goalkeeper. And Manchester United will come back at us down this left-hand side. We've got a lot of work to do now. They get the cross in and the defence almost came a cropper, but they blasted the shot over the top, I think it was. And ultimately, we can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. Again, they're still having all the shots at goal. We are absolutely hanging in there. So we're going to pause the match and go into defensive for now. And we're going to make a couple of tactical changes for that to happen. So if we go into the Let's go into the in possession. We are going to play out of defence still, but we're going to shorten the passes right down and the tempo right down. Dribble less, be more disciplined, waste a lot of time. And then we're going to go into the transition page. We're going to regroup rather than counter-attack and hold the shape once we've won the ball. And then we're going to go out of possession. We're going to bring the line of engagement right down and squeeze the play a little bit in terms of just narrowing the angles a little bit. And I think that'll do. I think we'll be okay with all of that. So that's what we're going to do. If it works or it doesn't work, we live and die by these kinds of decisions, don't we? But we have to do something just to see if we can maintain this. Couple of slightly low performing players for such a good performance. White and Morrison specifically in the attacking third, not doing great. So we are actually going to take them out. Bondor comes in and Thompson comes in for those two. And we've got one more that we can make, and I think we are going to bring in the new guy, Silva, in that holding midfield role as a defensive midfielder, and just see if he can shore it up a little bit for us. I think defensively he's a little bit better than Gonzalez might be. So we'll see how that works out for us. But ultimately, we've got to be happy with the way it's going so far. 62 minutes in. Whatever happens from this point in, we've kind of achieved what I wanted. We've caused Man United a couple of problems. We've been very fortunate in a lot of ways to be in this position at this point in the game. But we will happily take it and see if we can sneak a win from them. But at this point, if we lose out on that and we get a draw, it's not the worst result in the world. So 78 minutes on the clock. We've only got 12 minutes to play through. If we can keep the highlights down completely to not a lot, then we might see this one through. And that would be a magnificent result. We've already, as you've seen, beaten Leicester. We beat Tottenham. We narrowly lost to Liverpool. And so this would be fantastic. And it looks like we're going to do this. I don't really know what to tell you, to be honest. I think we did okay, but look at those statistics from this particular match. They absolutely decimated us in so many ways. 21 shots at goal, 6 on target. They, in the end, had a little bit less possession than we had when we went more defensive. We only had 2 shots at goal the entire match. We got a goal from them, and we win the 3 points. Wow. What an incredible run of form we are on, actually. It's about 12 matches. We've only lost 1 Premier League game in those 12 matches. We lost in the Cup recently as well, of course, but that's a different competition. But it's a phenomenal run, and it's put us into 7th position. Now, obviously, there's a couple of teams around us that have still got to play their 25th match. So the likes of Crystal Palace could still jump back over the top of us again. But ultimately, we are in this conversation for 5th through 7th, really, and trying to find a way to get ourselves in Europe, which would kind of be ridiculous at this point. It doesn't feel like we're quite ready for that, excuse me, but I will happily take it if and when it comes. But for now, what we can say is we are improving every single season. And I think this half season coming up, we've still got some improvements that we can see through a couple of the new guys playing. But now we are a proper force. We are absolutely challenging the big sides in these matches, not really dominating the matches. Man United should have beaten us potentially, but they didn't take their chances, and we took one, and we took the points, and that's amazing. So we are now sitting in 7th position, which is really incredible stuff. Into the schedule that we go, and you can see that we're approaching this latter part of the season. We've got a few more episodes to go. We're going to challenge ourselves against the big boys for the next couple of episodes. We're going to come back and play Chelsea in the middle of March. We then follow that with a game against Arsenal that I'll play off camera, and we'll come back after that episode for the next one to play Man City in the middle of April before closing out the season currently at Southampton on the last day of the season. So those are the next 3 episodes that we're going to be looking at. Some big matches in there, but if we can hold our own against Manchester United, we can potentially do that against Chelsea, Arsenal and Man City, who are still left to play. In and around those matches, with no cup games still to play now, I think there's some really winnable fixtures in this Premier League in the next dozen games, and I think we can properly challenge for this European spot. We'll have to see. It could come a cropper completely, and we could fall out of the top 7 and go back down to 8th or 9th, but ultimately we are in the conversation, and that's all that matters. So thank you very much for joining me today. That was a pretty spectacular January run, really. Let's see if we can move it into February with some winnable games and see if we can keep up the momentum. Thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button on this particular episode. That'll help me get seen by lots more people. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.